From the Fathead Studio in Speedway, Indiana, this is The Skinny.
Oh, there you are, sweet Jesus. Come back to Papa.
The highs and lows, are just can be pretty brutal, that place. But, I think that's what is so fun about it is the challenges.
I saw Will Power smack the wall out of 4 with 10 to go. He's still going.
Dixon?
No. Connor.
Oh, Connor, yeah.
Yeah, welcome back to the show.
Yeah, Connor, and, you got to pick a direction, pal, and I'll stick with you.
Oh, I don't know. You lose track about halfway through.
I go to move when it's full of methanol. Both of them are full of methanol. Big bang. I turn around and the glasses are smoking. And he goes, whoa, good thing you gave me those, right?
I'm Scott Dixon.
I'm Antron Brown.
Hey, I'm Ron Cap.
I'm Connor Daly.
I'm James Hinchcliffe.
I'm Cristy Lee, and this is The Skinny.
Welcome to The Skinny. Ken Stout with you. Rico Elmore sitting right alongside, and we're hoping the guy behind the controls is on his A game here today. That is Michael Young, the track dude, as our guest has already called him out. Cristy Lee has joined us here on the set. We appreciate her finding the time to come in here. She's in the Indianapolis area for a very special event. We'll talk to her about that just a little bit, but you might know her from All Girls Garage, Garage Squad, Celebrity IOU Joyride, and as of late, Steal This House. I've seen a couple of those episodes, so pretty cool stuff. Very busy lady. Thanks for taking the time.
Well, you, sir, are on your A game with knowing all of my stats, so kudos to you on that. Listen, man behind the curtain over there, you need to get it together, all right? Because right now you're looking at like a J.
I'm on it.
Kind of in that area.
Give me a second.
Let's touch base in a little while, and we'll see how you improve.
Fair enough.
If you haven't figured it out, she's a fire plug for sure. So a lot of energy in the studio here today. It is it's awesome, and you've done a great job in this very volatile industry, by the way. So congrats on that.
Should I take that as a compliment?
Yes, you should absolutely take that as a compliment because we're here one day and gone the next. So it's tough to stick around.
I don't want to refer to myself as a cockroach because I feel like that's not the best way to intro myself into this entire podcast. But I guess I am resilient. That sounds a little bit. That's better.
There you go. Tenacious, resilient.
Yes.
There you go.
Like those better.
For sure.
Cockroachinality, no good.
So talk to us about the career in general, how you got started. What was it that attracted you to want to get involved here? By the way, you have a pile of friends. I'm sure they're all very close friends, the better part of 500,000 there on Facebook that follow along. So very impressive.
Yes, I'm grateful for all of my followers on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and Twitter. Thank you so much for all your love. It's like, what I've done as far as building a career with time on television and in the broadcast industry. And then what I've done, like building like kind of I don't want to say secondary because it makes it sound like it's not as important, but a secondary presence on social media. Those to me are like two totally different worlds. But yeah, I'm super grateful for all of the people that follow me. I think the best thing that's worked for me personally is I just continued to be me. Like, this is it. This is all I got here. The cockroach with blonde hair. And, I don't really know how to be anything but that. That is why I'm not an actress making millions and millions of dollars. But yeah, like I'm just myself and that's transparent both on TV and on my social channels. So I like to think that maybe some people like kind of like that. I don't know.
The two really work together, though. Completely different. I understand what you're saying, social media and television star, broadcaster, whatever you'd like to refer to yourself as. But one,
I like star. Let's stick with that.
Just go with star. Period.
It just keeps saying star.
One feeds the other, right? I mean, one feeds the other, and you just keep going.
I mean, it's like social media is like, what a game now. Like, it's definitely not what it used to be. I mean, like I started out in broadcasting before Facebook was even around, which is true, but don't like crunch the numbers on that because you might figure out how old I might be. But anyways, so yeah, like, social media, it's like constantly changing. So every week it's just something different. And now like being an influencer, like that's a huge part of social media. So it ended up changing the game for me, who, you know, TV and broadcasting, motorsports, all that was my main gig. And then the social was just kind of like an extra side gig that used to be like something that was really easy and fun for me. Like I just post up a couple photos, maybe a quick video, something. And it was just all organic, natural, like in the environment, in the moment. And that worked for a long time. Now it's like, you better go get your like high res camera and like set up your tripod, and don't forget your 40 ring lights and your like video assistant to help you edit all of that. And then like if you're a real influencer, you have a whole team following you around. Like my social media game's like a K.
You know, like my team with the whole crowd, and they influence a lot. So it's
very influential.
It is tough, man. It's like another full-time job to stay on top of it. I agree with you 100%. I'm not a huge fan of it. It was fun before, and now it's a job.
But the real question is, are you on the Clock app?
The Clock app. I can officially say no.
If you don't know, then just moving on. Next question. TikTok, the Clock app. I just did you a favor.
Oh, thanks.
It's giving.
Thanks, Sarah.
Do you know that
go.
either?
Yeah, I try to steer clear of that one for whatever reason. Doesn't seem like any good's coming out of that one.
She's way more advanced than us. I can see already in this game.
Pump the brakes here a little bit.
Like before, I could years ago, I could probably wow you with my intellect. Now I'm wowing you with my social media jargon. I feel
witticisms, as Jack Beckman would call it.
Witticisms, that's right. He did use that word.
So great stuff. So how did it all begin for you? I mean, when I was back in my career, I was driving a truck, and then I decided I was going to be an actor, and I ended up working on a small AM station that you couldn't hear across the street. That's how it all got going. How did it all start for you?
No way. That's the same thing happened for me. I was driving a truck, and then I started an AM station. Oh, that's crazy. Actually, no, my broadcasting career didn't start too differently than yours. I was living in Daytona Beach, Florida, so like bikes, racing, all that kind of stuff was a big part of my life. My dad was a shop owner mechanic, blah, blah, blah. I've told this story many a time. And I actually moved from Daytona to Detroit, Michigan in 2005. And that was to invest in real estate, sidebar story for another time. And I had been in dance my entire life. So like I was on dance teams, I was at studio, I worked at a dance studio, you know, that was a big part of my life. So I moved to Detroit where there's like professional sports teams and like actual things besides racing happening. And I'm like, okay, cool, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an NBA dancer. So I auditioned for the Pistons dance team, did that. And I was like, this is great. My dance career is really moving in Detroit. And then it wasn't. So I started looking into other things in the entertainment industry, and radio was one of the kind of avenues I pursued. Local rock radio station, 101 WRIF, the Riff. And they were doing a contest for like a spokesgirl, and I won the contest, and I won a $40,000 salary. This was a while back, and a 1-year gig as the spokesgirl, and that was my start in broadcasting. And ever since then, I was like, hey, you know, I kind of like this talking with a microphone thing, and I feel like I might be pretty good at it. And then we did some on-camera work, and I was like, wait a minute, like I'm even better at this on-camera stuff because they keep telling me this whole face for radio thing, and I just don't get it.
That one I pick up on right away, by the way.
They're like, you don't have a face for radio, and I'm like, I don't understand. And then I'm like, oh, now I get it. I should do stuff on camera. And so I started doing on-camera work. I started working for the Detroit Red Wings as an in-arena hostess. That was like my first like live camera feed type of job. And then the rest is history. Motorsports was a huge part of my television broadcasting career. I'm a motorcyclist, have been for a long time, been into track days, racing motorcycles, et cetera, et cetera. So, of course, I was like, okay, 2 things I love, being on camera, telling stories, and racing motorcycles. Boom, let's work for a racing motorcycle organization doing video work. Started working for AMA Pro Racing, covering superbike racing. And that was also a very long time ago.
They still had 2 wheels on them back then. In case you haven't put it together, she's a ball of energy, and we're going to have plenty more from Cristy Lee when we get back.
Off the auction block and in that entire auction hall, there's nothing like that. I mean, you put a few beers in anybody, and they'll buy anything.
The Skinny is brought to you by Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04. And General Tire. General Tire delivers.
Welcome back to the Skinny. We have a fire plug on the set with us here today. Cristy Lee is in the house. She's been a ball of fun already. One segment in and 5 more to go, but we've got a lot of information coming your way. And let's talk about the Barrett-Jackson live shows, because those things are brutally long as you watch them on TV. I mean, there's hours and hours. Are you guys literally there shooting for 4, 5, 6 hours at a time?
Yes, and I have survived to tell the tale. I think in Scottsdale we did what the network boasted was a solid 37 hours of live TV, which like they had all the commercials for, and everybody was like, "Oh man, 37 hours! It's so exciting!" And the crew is like, "Oh,
Are you kidding me?" It's like going to the 24 hours of Daytona. It's like, oh man,
that's exactly what I thought about.
I mean, it was a grind. Like we were live. So like Scottsdale, for example, I mean, that's a huge event. You know, that was a 9 or 10 day event for those of us on like the broadcast team. And, you know, we were on air 6 days, 6 consecutive days. And we'd start off a little bit like, you know, we'd gradually work our way up in the time frame of live on air scheduling. So we'd start like 4 or 5 hours. And then by the weekend, by like Friday and Saturday, Super Saturday, the big day, you know, we're live 10 hours.
Wow.
10 hours. And then we had like network changes amidst that too. So we were live on Discovery for like a 2-hour time block somewhere in that time frame. And then the rest was like live on Velocity, and then Velocity when it made the change over to Motor Trend. But that's crazy. Like you're literally on the ground, on your feet, running around at a car show for more than 6 hours straight, because that was just the live portion. And I shouldn't complain, because I think a lot of people would be like,
"Oh, yeah, but that's a brutal schedule
show.
for anybody that's in the business."
Yeah, the good memories with Barrett-Jackson. I mean, it was a lot of work, but you also got exposed to a lot of like really amazing cars. I mean, the people, the atmosphere, obviously the auction block. I mean, the energy that comes off the auction block and in that entire auction hall. There's nothing like that. I mean, you put a few beers in anybody, and they'll buy anything.
You know who John Staluppi is?
You could not walk 2 steps on the Barrett-Jackson property without knowing John.
He's the swinger. He's a big Toyota dealer up northeast, and I'm telling you, man, I watched him buy 5 cars in a row because they all matched, and they were all just different colors. And I was like, "Ooh, okay,
like, I'll take that."
There's a player in the house.
Dude,
yeah,
he is.
I often wondered.
Great guy too, though.
I often wondered when you guys are on for that long. I often wondered, okay, do they get a list of the cars that they're going to do ahead of time? Are they able to do some research, some preparation on those? But clearly, based on what you're telling me, it's just a run and gun.
Throw to the wolves.
So we have like a run of show. But mostly the run of show is more about like when we have the commercial breaks blocked in. So there's kind of like a time schedule that we have to stick to. And the show is also broken up into segments. So a 6-hour long show, it doesn't really work that way. So it's not so much about what airs live on Velocity or Discovery at that point in time, but it's also about how that's spread out after the fact. So that being also internationally, and then different time zones, etc. There's snap-ins for different countries that extend or reduce the frame of time. So we would do like 2 to 4 hour show blocks, and there was always a show change amidst that. You know what that doing your top of hours are for radio. So it was kind of like the similar concept to that, where we had to identify the radio station at top of hour. Same thing with TV. We kind of had to like have that break where we closed the show out and would literally transition seconds later right into the top of show into a new show, even though it was continuous. So, I mean, you know, that being said, it's like we didn't really have, I don't want to say the luxury of preparing ahead of time. The auction itself is a moving, living, breathing beast. And we did our best as a broadcast platform to work with the auctioneers and the flow of the auction block to keep that on pace, I guess you could say. But it's at some point there's only so much you can do. If you've got active bidding going on, like that bid is going to carry out. If you've got like crickets in the room, that bid's going to end. So it's kind of like we have a pace, but there's only so much they can do to like slow up or speed up the auction, and we're kind of a victim to that. And it's also about commercial breaks. So really, it's about doing your homework, having a ton of notes, and then spending time with the cars and learning about that car in particular, and just reading the car in the moment. So it's all very on your feet.
So as the monster began, I'm sure you guys had your agenda. The auction's going to have their agenda. But I'm sure at some point it started to blend based on the number of hours you guys were doing. did the auction begin working with you guys knowing that they had some pristine cars that were worth a lot of money that they would put into the live air?
For sure.
I would think so,
For
yeah.
sure. And I mean, obviously there's some major charity auctions that are happening, and those types of things and the more prestigious sales that are happening on, especially on a Saturday, there's things you don't want to miss. So yeah, there's some of that going on, but the scheduling with a Saturday is a lot different because I think that it's easier for them to adjust to the frame of time for the different auctions that are kind of passing through versus like a, Thursday afternoon auction. You just don't really know like what the vibe in the room is going to be like. So Saturday was like the fastest day. So 6 hours, although extremely grueling, would really fly by because, we've got just car after car after car. And no reserve cars. It's exciting. A lot of charity cars. Usually at events like Scottsdale, we've got a big celebrity presence coming out, so that kind of would be interesting in the mix with us for broadcasting in particular, like the broadcast, our time clock in general, keeping to that with having celebrity guests and whatnot in. So,
did you ever bid on a car?
No, I personally did not have a bidder's card. I kind of stayed away from that because they tend to be a little expensive sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm more of a
she's
Facebook
not,
marketplace kind of
she's
girl.
not getting paid, and she owes us another $100,000.
Yeah, I just spent more than I made all week, but I got a really cool car. It's awesome
So
stuff.
Toyota, they did the #1 Supra when the Supra came out. And Stolupi bought that. And then they also did the #1, I think, Tundra, maybe with this one. So anyhow.
It's, you called it best. I mean, it's just turned into an incredible monster, and it's so addictive. So many times I'll look on there and I'll be like, I'm just going to watch a couple of cars, and then you can't watch one car and turn. It's like eating Lay's potato chips. You can't eat just one and can't watch just one. I mean, it's amazing. So we've had a chance to already pick her brain just a little bit about what she's done in the past. Stay with us here. We have plenty more coming your way from the Skinny.
Like, wait a minute, this is this crazy whirlwind that came in and spends all this time, like, at my house, like, all up in my space. And then we're like, bye, see you next time.
Welcome back to the Skinny. Ken Stout, Rico, Elmore, and we have Cristy Lee, who has joined us on the set here today. Just found out a little bit about her and some behind the scenes on what goes on during the Barrett Jackson shoot, which is very lengthy, but if you're like me, here's the big question of the show right now. She plays off on that garage squad thing and the all-girls garage. Is she really a mechanic? Do you really do that stuff with your own hands? Do you get dirty? Do you weld? Do you turn wrenches?
If I was like making a sandwich or something, you wouldn't ask me, did you really put the mayonnaise on that sandwich and make it? But for some reason, we get girls in a garage setting and everybody's like all bent about it. Like, you can't possibly be working on that car. You're a girl with blonde hair. So yes, to answer your question, yes, I am not a certified technician. I would consider myself more of a, quote, shade tree mechanic, where you're just working in your own garage doing your own work. But yes, I do the work. We do the work on the show. Do I do all of the work on every single show that I've ever hosted single-handedly? Absolutely not. That's extremely impractical.
On.
Any TV host that works in automotive that tells you they do all of the work themselves is a liar. Do not believe them. There is not time for that.
Straight up.
The garage,
up
the
liar.
garage squad looks like a blast. I mean, Bruno
Okay,
and the gang, those guys look like a lot of fun.
That we do all the work because there's no one else. There's literally the 6 of us and that's it. There isn't anybody. There's no like B squad or like, K squad or anything that like rolls up after hours and finishes the job for us. You know what I mean? There's basically just us that you see on camera. Like we're coming in, we're diving into the project, we're in that person's garage and working on the car with them in real time. And literally 7 days is what it would take us to film an episode. And really it was more like 6 because the first day was all like intros with the first initial drive to the garage, meeting the owner, meeting the car, all that kind of stuff. And then the last day would be like our reveal day, which was just that. So really we only had like 6, maybe 5.5 work days to get
That stuff is
done.
intriguing to me. I mean, I'm in the business, but I've never been in that end of it. So I'm always curious how it works. So the 6 of you were literally there for 6 days completing that project with whoever it is that owns it. That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's no other like backup squad that comes in after hours and does the work for us. You know, it's us. We're in there getting it done. I mean, the fun part about that show is that we're working in the owner's garage. You know, we're working with them. So we came to them. This is their house. This is where their car is. And usually there's always a reason and a great story behind why the car is in the state that it's in, whether they've fallen on hard times, whether they got in over their heads, which is very common, whether they, you know, had some health issues that prevented them from getting the job done. You know, there's a reason why that car is just like sitting dormant in their garage. And that's why we're kind of rolling up, bringing the truck, bringing our skills, and just kind of like lighting a fire under their butts to get it done. And a lot of the owners need that, you know.
So then you are sitting there whipping the owners around. That's your job in this? Or?
Yes, like demanding that they get things done in a timely fashion. No, I mean, we're in there, like we're working on it. And like, let me tell you, there is a lot of like sweating moments where, you know, we've got these schedules with very specific episodes laid out and reveal days pre-planned, and me.
Yeah, those are real deadlines.
Yeah,
so
me
you have to hit with a lot of work to do.
We didn't have to do any of the like fake like, oh no, well we dropped this engine in time and the next commercial break, and then you come back and it's already in, married to the trans, and you're like, oh, everything's great. Like that was real, you know, like that happened in real time for us. So it was as real as it could be. I mean, I think if we had the cameras rolling like 24/7, we probably would have caught a lot of really cool stuff. But, you know, the practicality of shooting
maybe
nonstop
a YouTube channel or something like that where you can get all of it on you. We understand. Well, I mean, honestly, we had Mike Hall on here and all the great stories that he continued to tell, obviously way over our total runtime here. But if we, you know, could post that on a YouTube channel, it's a lot of great information that won't see air, that's for sure. And I love watching that show because you guys do tug on the heartstrings from time to time. I love the stuff where you see like mom and son, and neither one really had the capability of doing it, but dad passed away, had his baby. You guys bring it back to life, and I mean, I get goosebumps talking about it. I mean, it's super cool what you guys do.
Yeah, and then they have this like big hero moment where the car gets revealed to the rest of the family and their friends at this big like drive it out of the garage, like roll it up in the driveway kind of moment. And that's great. Like the energy, the vibes, the excitement. I mean, the tears. It's
the
amazing.
family fight of who's taking it now.
Right.
Just
Nobody
like
wanted
punch,
it before.
Maybe a push.
Nobody wanted it before.
That
Like,
long
I
lost
get it.
derelict son who hasn't been around for years. But guess who shows up?
He put my name in the will.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I'm back. That's mine now.
Yeah, but at least half of that right there is mine.
We didn't quite have like that much of drama, but you know, there were definitely a lot of like emotional moments and excitement. Yeah, it was a very giving show, and you know, it was a great feeling seeing someone so happy over their car, and you know, overcoming that obstacle, whether it was just, you know, like a health issue, a financial issue, or they just, you know, didn't have the means to finish the project themselves. And I think a lot of people get the idea like, oh, I'm going to buy a collector car. This is going to be great.
And it's super cool. I mean, you see them, they're overwhelmed with the car. They haven't been able to get it done for years and years. And then a group of knowledgeable people come in and in 6 days, boom, transform the entire thing and it's running again.
Then we leave and they're like heartbroken because they're like, wait a minute, this is this crazy whirlwind that came in and spends all this time like at my house, like all up in my space. And then we're like, bye. See you next time.
Have a nice life.
Bruno's a great guy. Of course, I'm with him every weekend at the NHRA events, and he's a good dude. So it's awesome. I have watched a couple, and the one that comes to mind is the one where, you know, dad passed away type of thing, and it was the son and the mom, and so yeah, it is pretty emotional watching, and I mean that's.
I think there was one that I watched where dad had passed away, but it was mom's car, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys fixed it up, got it going again, and she was able to get back in it and kind of relive their younger days when they had met. It was really cool. I mean, it's hard to find those stories and then have it match with a car that needs to be done, but it was very intriguing, a lot of fun to watch for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of episodes, a lot of seasons, and I mean, I was only part of the show for 2 seasons, so we've got great memories during that time, and I consider
Those were the ones I liked best, by the way.
Absolutely, good job,
Amazing.
brownie points for you, sir. I'm starting to like you more than this microphone.
Yeah, there you go.
But anyways, yeah, lots of great memories, lots of great projects.
So with that, Michael has hit the light and has hit the button nearly a full minute early because he just can't help himself. But we're going to take a quick break right here, and we'll be back with more from the Skinny.
So you haven't watched every single episode at least 4 times on
not
every
gonna lie.
single platform in your entire house to increase my analytics for each episode.
would be
That's
a-
it. I'm leaving.
The Skinny is brought to you by Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear. Hardcore since 04. General Tire. General Tire delivers. And Toyota. Toyota. Let's go places.
Welcome back to the Skinny. We have Cristy Lee with us today, an accomplished broadcaster over the realm of motorsports programming. And she also has a new show called Steal This House, which I watched a few clips here and there. And whenever I ask the question, do you know how to weld? Certainly that one will prove it if you're curious, if she's telling the truth. But you are on that show welding some stuff up. But it looks like a lot of fun. A lot of people love those home remodel builds.
Wait, you said you've only watched a few clips, like you haven't watched every single episode at least 4 times
I'm
on
not
every
gonna lie.
single platform in your entire
yeah.
house to increase my analytics for each episode.
that would be
That's
a
it. I'm leaving.
negative.
I mean, yeah, one of the most recent episodes, actually, we had a pretty cool like steel staircase hand railing project that I did a little welding on. And this week's episode too, I welded up a cool little like shelf for the kitchen as just a little side project. But I've been working on my like metalwork welding skills, fabrication work, over the last couple of years, especially working on the car shows. You know, there's the opportunity there to get in there and kind of work with a welder, work with a machine. Having the right machine, having the right equipment, and knowing how to use them properly is a really big part of that. And welding being, you know, it's kind of an intense craft. You can't just like jump in. It's not like here's a hammer and a nail and a board, just like keep swinging at it and you'll figure it out. Like you need the technique, you need the experience, you need the proper equipment. And there's a lot of safety measures that you have to take into consideration too. So you gotta know your stuff with it. So I've done some formal and semi-formal training. And I just kind of keep working to get better because it really is an art. It's not just something you pick up overnight and you're good at. I mean, maybe there's like, you know, a few anomalies out there, but for me, it's just spend time and every little weld gets you a little bit better and better. And the more you work on it, the better you get. So I love it. I love the metal work.
And I mean, I think if there was anything I'd like to learn, it would be that is welding because I do swing a hammer and hit a nail, and sometimes it goes in, and
Sometimes it hits his finger.
Hey, I think
as long as you don't hit anybody, then I guess we're okay.
I still think that some welders do that. It's called bubble gum, though.
Yes.
When it's all said and done with, or burning holes in the material they're working on. So, but no, welding, that's an art. That is an art.
It definitely is.
Yeah.
And I've learned a lot in a short period of time, but you know, it's a skill that I want to continue to improve on. And I've just started out with MIG welding, not because it's necessarily the best form of welding, but it's the quickest way to learn the fastest and get the job done the quickest. So I have a multi-process machine now, so I can kind of start working on TIG welding, and then I want to learn all of it. So I want to learn stick welding and all that too. So
what
eventually,
I'd like for you to do next is make one of the Facebook videos that I can clearly sit there and get lost in, and then go on to the next one, and the next one, and the next one, and then about 3 hours later, I figured out I've wasted a whole day.
And you still don't know how to weld.
But
it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, clearly.
But it was a good day. It was a good day.
It's a good day. It's like, man, she can weld. And this is what I'm talking about.
So clearly some tomboy aspects in your personality here. You certainly don't look like a tomboy, but does that come from Dad? Do all these skills, these desires, is that from being around Dad and being in the shop and watching him work on stuff?
You know, my dad, like I said, was a shop owner and mechanic. He was an instructor at the American Motorcycle Institute. So he was a motorcyclist as well. And I grew up and he had a dirt bike and he used to rip around the yard with me on the gas tank. And so I have fond memories of that. But then he sold it and no more bikes for me. And that kind of stuff was just always part of my life. But I did spend a lot of time in his shop. I just didn't necessarily spend a lot of time in his shop, like wrenching. His shop was a repair shop. It wasn't like a custom fab shop, which are, to me, in the automotive industry, two very, very different mediums of automotive. And, I think my dad always kind of was good at wrenching. He was good at being a mechanic, but it wasn't what he wanted to do. So he took the best path, which was to become an entrepreneur in the automotive industry. But he always wanted more for me. And I think there's a little bit of that vicarious living going on of like, you're going to go to school and you're going to be in the medical industry and be a doctor and all this stuff. And I was like, that sounds lame. I'm not doing that. So I'm just like, no way.
Clearly defied that.
Yeah. I'm going to do what's like the craziest thing ever, which is change my major in high school like 20 times and take all these crazy classes. And then I'm going to go from this club to that club and, you know what I mean, dabble in a million things. And I mean, I went to college, I did 2 years, and I was just like, nope, not for me. I had 3 other jobs, I was making money, and I'm like, this isn't gonna work. And then I literally left everything, my entire life behind in Daytona Beach and moved to Detroit, Michigan to buy and sell real estate.
Yeah, not everybody goes that direction, by the way.
Was a journey.
Daytona to Detroit. Detroit to Daytona, that one makes perfect sense.
That's exactly what I was getting ready to say, totally.
Yeah, I may be like the first person ever to make that choice. Like sunny Daytona Beach, Florida, with like amazing events year round. It's like, reasonable weather to Detroit, Michigan, where it's frigid and cold.
Very frigid and cold, and you better be working if you're going to survive up there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in Michigan for almost 20 years now, and like, it's home. It's home now. I love it. My professional roots kind of started there. I have a great network of friends and what I consider family now in Michigan, and you kind of get used to the seasons. And I think that I like the cold and snow better than like literally sweating all the time in Florida. From like April to October.
Born and raised in Clearwater, Florida, and moved to New Jersey. So I'm right there with you.
So
I had enough of the heat. Enough. I just couldn't.
And
I was over it. I lived 3 miles from the beach, and I never went. Yeah, my one Detroit story is my first ever motorsports show for Monster Jam was in the Pontiac Silverdome, and I also did the very last show in the Pontiac Silverdome before they collapsed it.
Oh man, that goes way back. Yeah, Silverdome's been
Yeah,
gone
he's
for a
really
minute.
old.
Yeah, he's really.
He's been doing
Can't
this
even
a long
hide it,
time.
man.
I couldn't
Can't
tell.
even
You
hide
must
it.
have a great night cream or something.
Okay, I'm with you on this one, Michael. It's time for a commercial break here. We'll be right back.
The right way, just put the helmet into his mouth. And he gets back, and he gets off the bike, and he pulls the helmet off, and he has no teeth.
No teeth.
All the teeth are gone, and of course he's like bleeding. And he's like,
We have Cristy Lee in the studio with us today. Everybody laughing, yes, during the commercial break. And I'm sorry, yes, you did miss some of the fun. Well, we'll try to bring it back up to you. One of the questions I wanted to ask you about, 15 years, a motorcycle enthusiast. Do you still ride? Do you still do a lot of riding? You said you moved to Michigan, but really not the place where you would ride certainly all year round, where you could have indeed to Daytona. But curious how much you are involved.
yes, but that is why you get a truck with a really big trailer, because then you can take your motorcycles elsewhere where you can ride year round.
Wow.
There you
How
go.
about that?
There you go.
How about that? That's a real head scratcher, isn't it?
So dirt bikes, street bikes, everything?
Oh, so I'm like all over the place with motorcycles. I've got all the bikes. I actually have thinned the herd. I'm very proud of myself. I am now down to 11 motorcycles at my house. Which is really good because I was at like 13 and thinned the herd, so I feel good. There's only 2 motorcycles inside of my house right now, which is an improvement because at one point there were 5. So I'm doing well with the whole motorcycle thing. But yeah, I've been riding since I was 18. Don't do the math. And that started in Daytona. There was a big sport bike scene there, obviously. You could ride year round, as you mentioned, and like kind of the sport bike events that like Bike Week and that kind of stuff that would happen, the big biker events, the sport bike community, we kind of avoided that. The locals always avoided the events in Daytona because
It's hilarious. My buddy lives in Ormond, and like I would come to town because we would set up for fat heads or do whatever. And I'm like, hey man, let's hang out. He's like, oh yeah, I'm leaving town.
Yeah.
Like I'm not staying here because you can stay at my house, but I'm not staying here.
yeah, we're bikers, and like Bike Week comes in and everyone's like, oh man, aren't you excited? You're like, it's bike week.
Right.
Get away.
Right.
Total
No.
chaos. Do not want to be in the middle of that. Yeah.
Amateur hour.
Run
Oh,
away.
big time, right.
But yeah, I mean, I started riding when I was 18. I've been riding ever since. And I kind of did the whole riding thing backwards because I did start out on sport bikes on the street. You know, I started out as a passenger. And then I actually got in a major crash to this day, knock on something. That's the worst crash I've still had, both on the street and on the track. And of course, the first thing you do after you crash on a motorcycle is, I'm going to get my own motorcycle. This is a great idea. So
I'm going to be in control of this.
Pretty much. So I got my own bike, and you know, I kind of just kept doing the sport bike thing. And then, you know, riding on the street doesn't really give you quite the same satisfaction on a sport bike, especially as riding on the track. So my friends started going to the track. We have this little place in Florida called Jennings GP, which is very grassroots in northern Florida in the middle of nowhere, just south of Valdosta, Georgia. And I started going there, did some track days. I'm like, I love this, so I want to do more of this. So at that point in time, I actually got my race license and then never did anything with it because I was like, this is hard and you have to be really, really good at it. And I just wasn't, I don't know if I was willing to like risk my life as much as some others on motorcycles are to do that. I just didn't have that little bit of that edge that is needed for motorcycle racing. If you know anything about like sport bike racing in particular, you know that you're literally going at extreme high speeds with a very, very extreme lean angle with a contact patch that's about that big.
Blows my mind every time I see it. And he has a suite out at the speedway. I sit outside and one of those chairs and watch those guys rip around that turn. And exactly what you said, the lean angle and the amount of tire that's touching the ground and the force that wants to send that thing out there while they're going 170 or whatever they're doing. It defies all laws of physics. I don't understand how any of it works.
Actually, the last time I was at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, my race team, Two Wheel Detroit Racing, we competed here for the Moto America races. So I think we were talking a little bit about that yesterday.
Yeah.
And you know, it's crazy. Like I love the sport. I love the industry. I've been in it for a long time. It's a huge passion for us, but it's just, you got something. You got that, like, that frame of mind of just like in it to win it no matter what. And like, I didn't have that. Self-preservation just reigns supreme over racing motorcycles.
And you want to talk about superior athletes. I mean, these guys, I mean, the endurance, I mean, your man-hit, like super
their hand-eye coordination, their balance, it's their physicality. I mean, it's unbelievable.
So can we, your boyfriend that was with you, I mean, this dude is ridiculously in shape. I mean, I kind of remember.
Are you listening? Are you listening?
Got it right
this
here.
Has been said.
We could both probably
on a broadcast
do that deal,
platform.
You know?
Yeah, but
we might
by
need
other men.
We might need a trike if we're going to do it. But we
yeah, do they have trike racing on the like where they?
I mean,
like,
anything's possible.
That would be great. We could start it. We could start a new class. You could have your big moose cup. You know, your big giant cup in there, you know, with the straw on it.
You got to have the big boy sidecar class.
This
you know,
sounds
the
more
big boy sidecar class, minimum 250 pounds. Add a sidecar and let's go racing.
Hold up! As soon as you come into a turn that's like even slightly like off camber, you're gonna tip. So that just has bad news.
Oh no, that one big boy's got to get up and lean over. That's the way.
No, if we come into a turn, we stop, turn the turn signal on, we make it very safe. Very safe path. So.
Oh my gosh, there's an interesting form of racing. I'll look out for that.
Yes, it's coming soon.
I've watched those sidecar races, man. Some of them they're wicked, man. Both on the dirt and on the asphalt. The sport bike sidecars, where those guys are all over the place, hanging over the rear fender, leaning the other way.
They call the passenger the
monkey?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so AMA Vintage Days, they always have it at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, which is a natural terrain course. So it's, you know, a lot of, like I said, like banking and off camber and a lot of like hilly terrain. And they're literally hanging like straight up. Like off the side of this sidecar.
It is on.
At full speed. And some of them are like
and I
vintage
see some of them
bikes,
still dangle that thing in the air a little bit.
No, this is a bad idea. And I love motorcycle racing, and I love to watch that, but I am good. My butt is going to be relatively close to that seat at all points in time, except when I'm leaning. And that's it.
So how did you get all broken up? Well, Bill just missed the turn, and I went flying off through the bleachers.
Everything was going really good, and then it wasn't.
Yeah, right. Clearly.
And then the motocross ones too. You see them, they're going over the jumps, and the guys are hanging on. I mean, it's through the whoop section. It's gnarly. I mean, you give us a race, and people will do it.
Yeah, I mean, I covered moto for years as a pit reporter, and that's just the stuff you see. Like, oh man, it's crazy. Like we saw a guy, like I think it was either, I don't remember if it was a double or a triple. But either way, he hit it, and when he came down wrong and just mashed his face on the bar, and it just hit his helmet the right way, just to hit the helmet into his mouth. And he gets back and he gets off the bike and he pulls the helmet off and he has no teeth.
No teeth.
All the teeth are gone. And of course he's like bleeding. And he's like,
am
I okay? Is everything okay? We're like, no.
So
you're
how
not.
did that go?
It was not okay. And then he was like such a trooper because he said to me afterwards, because obviously they were going to take him to the hospital very soon. He's just like, I said to him a couple days later, and I was like, I'm so glad you're okay. Like, that could have been way worse. Like, I'm so grateful for that. Like, we're glad to have you back, you know, after he'd been and sewn up and all that stuff. And he was just like, yeah, you know, I'm just bummed because I really liked my teeth. I'm like, oh, man.
Good news.
All right,
you
man.
can buy
Get
another
you some
set.
new teeth. You're going to get some fresh teeth. All right, we're good.
With that, we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back with more.
You were that guy.
Yeah.
That's okay. We'll
I would always take my dress back.
do it. Oh my gosh, I love it.
The Skinny is brought to you by General Tire. General Tire delivers. Toyota, let's go places. And Fatheads Eyewear. Fatheads Eyewear, hardcore since '04.
Welcome back to The Skinny. Once again, we have Cristy Lee on the set with us here today, and she's been a lot of fun, a lot of information, a lot of experience throughout her career. She's here in the Indianapolis area, and she has a special event going here this weekend as well. I believe joining Toyota driver Mr. Christopher Bell and a charity event. Talk to us about it.
Yeah, we actually had a really fun event today. We're working with the Children's Network Hospitals and the Racing for a Miracle program. So Craftsman and Stanley Black & Decker have teamed up with Racing for a Miracle again to support this program. And Christopher Bell and Joe Gibbs Racing have also jumped on board. And I'm here to also support the cause this weekend. So it's just, we had a charity event with a few of the kids from Riley Children's Health, not hospital now, health, earlier today. And we actually have a couple of honorary junior crew members that are joining us not only today for some of our activities at the Riley Hospital, but also joining us on Sunday at the racetrack as honorary crew members. So we're really excited for that, and I'm really excited that the kids are part of this. We weren't able to go in the hospital today for many obvious reasons. So we did our entire little event out front of the hospital. But still, it's a really great program. It's supporting a great cause. And Racing for a Miracle has teamed up with the Ace Hardware Foundation. And today they donated a $100,000 check to the program. And if, fingers crossed, I should say, when, you're welcome, Reed, when Christopher Bell wins the race on Sunday at IMS, they are going to up that to a $1 million donation.
Wow.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a number.
Yeah. So it's all going towards a great cause. And then, the great thing about something like this is that all of the money that's being donated goes to Riley's and a Riley Children Hospital, a Riley Children Health. Got it. There it is.
So did they change Riley Children's Hospital
They
to
did.
health?
They did. I think that it's kind of like, a positive movement towards Riley Children's Health versus saying hospital.
Yeah.
So
I like that.
Yeah, I do too. It kind of, it makes you think more positively about that than.
There's some amazing kids that are there that are doing amazing things, that are going through unbelievable things. I mean, as I was telling you, before we went on, having a daughter at 28 that was, that has went through some stuff. His daughter was, how old was she?
8 months.
8 months old. And with a cancer scare, 40% chance of living a long life and everything. And she's
34 now, ripping
34.
3 kids. And
yeah, so you can really see how old he is now. I mean, that's beside the point. But anyhow.
I started young.
Yeah. But But yeah, I mean that's awesome. And so, do you do other things like that? Other involvement in anything else like that?
This is my first time working with Racing for a Miracle, but I've been a brand ambassador for Craftsman for a few years now. My roots with the Craftsman brand go way back to my dad, or time with my dad.
Wow, that's
so
awesome.
that's actually a product that I have been using in my garage for a very long time. I'm really excited that they are almost finished. It's been a long time coming. They are almost finished with their new plant in their new factory in Fort Worth, Texas, and we'll actually be hopefully doing a little unveiling for that later this year.
For Craftsman tools.
Yeah, and that means
awesome.
that, a lot of their products are already being made in the USA.
Yep.
That means that even more tools and products, whether they be power tools or mechanics tools, that means more of them are going to be made in the USA. And it also opens up a lot more job opportunities in the US within their company when they open up a new plant. So I'm excited to be part of that. I'm excited to be an ambassador for the brand. And continue using their tools and support that, and hopefully this is the first of many charity efforts that I can partake in.
And that's all my dad ever had was Craftsman.
It's all my dad ever had. I was just sitting here literally thinking about it. Whenever you mentioned that, I bet you I have tools in my garage that are in excess of 100 years old.
1,000%.
Because my dad had them before. Probably from his dad.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, if a screwdriver tip was messed up, he would go ahead and finish breaking it and then take it back to
it was
Sears.
always a lifelong warranty.
Take it back to Sears, like, Hank.
Great things you learn from your parents.
Right.
A buck's a buck.
Morals and ethics.
I'm like,
what are those?
I remember when Dad used to break these. I was like, I want to take it myself.
So you were the guy bringing in the broken stuff. So when I worked in retail, you'd have people that come and bring washed clothing in and be like, "Oh, this didn't fit." Like, you literally wore this and washed it. You were that guy, weren't you?
Yeah, yeah.
That's okay.
it.
We'll let it
I would
slide.
always take my dresses back. So.
You would? Oh my gosh, I love it.
So what lies in the future for Miss Cristy Lee?
Oh, fame, so much fame.
When's the wedding day?
Hollywood Walk of Fame. I'm gonna have my own star, and when's the wedding day?
I thought she was just going to zip
Oh, is
right
it?
on past that.
I
I
hear
did too.
everything.
I did too.
I'm a woman. We hear everything. Yeah. So what's next for Cristy Lee? So I've got Steal This House right now. Shameless plug. HGTV on Saturdays at 9 p.m. Eastern. You can watch all new episodes, or you can DVR it, or you can stream it on the HGTV Go app anytime that you want. 3 episodes from the past 3 weeks are on there. We got 3 more coming out. Another one drops this Saturday.
Steel staircases,
So
just saying.
I don't actually steal anything in the show. We are just kind of working on finding a different approach at looking at home buying. But what's next for me? I've been doing some stuff in the car world again, gonna get back into car TV. So stay tuned for more of that. Can't talk about that right now, but we'll have more to come soon. But just kind of trying to get through this show right now. So the Steal This House show with HGTV, I've been working with the network for 5 years, and I've been working on this show for 3 years to get it off the ground, and we've been filming since 2019.
Cristy, thanks for taking the time and what is a very busy weekend, but we appreciate you taking the time and wish you, of course, continued success.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You guys have reached an A now. Congrats.
What about Michael?
Ooh, B. Whoa!
Hey, that's a big improvement. Take what you can get. Yeah. Cristy Lee, ladies and gentlemen, that is the skinny on that lovely young lady right there. We'll see you next time.